All right, today we are building a fortress for your focus. So forget everything you've ever been told about willpower and just trying harder. We're going to tear that myth down and replace it with a powerful, science-backed system designed to reclaim hours of your day. This isn't about little productivity hacks. This is about rewiring your brain to protect its most valuable asset, your attention. Let's get into it.
The reason your focus constantly breaks isn't that you lack discipline. It's a hidden, powerful neurological habit that sabotages concentration. For years, you've probably blamed yourself, right? But what if the problem isn't you at all? What if it's baked into the very design of your brain? Right now, we're going to show you the scientific killer that steals hours from your day, and more importantly, give you a concrete 3-step defense system to take it all back. This isn't about trying harder. It's about understanding a fundamental paradox of your own biology. Your brain isn't broken, it's just running on an ancient default setting, a setting that's completely mismatched for the crazy demands of our world today.
So here's our game plan for this deep dive. First, we're going to expose what I call the focus paradox and why your brain is kind of working against you. Then, we'll diagnose this invisible productivity killer known as the Attention Residue Crisis. Once we really understand the enemy, we'll build our fortress, the Drift Defense System. After that, we'll pop the hood and look at the science of control to see why this system is so darn effective. Then, we get super practical with a 90-minute implementation plan. And finally, we'll tie it all together with a huge mindset shift. Focus is a system. Okay, let's get right to the heart of the problem. You are literally fighting millions of years of evolution. I want you to think about our ancestors out on the savannah. The person who could sit there and just stare intently at a single flower for 3 hours straight, well, they became lunch. The survivor was the one whose attention was constantly scanning the environment. A rustle in the grass over there, a weird shadow in the distance, the changing wind. That is the brain you inherited. It's not designed for deep focus on some spreadsheet. It's a survival machine built to constantly look for threats and opportunities. It is fundamentally wired to wander.
Now, this tendency has a scientific name, attentional drift. I really want you to let this sink in, because it's the key to everything. Attentional drift is not a moral failing. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a baseline feature of your hardware. You know, you're in the middle of writing a super important email, and boom, suddenly you're thinking about whether you need to buy milk. That's attentional drift. A notification pops up and your eyes just dart to the corner of the screen without you even thinking about it. That's attentional drift. See, the problem isn't that your attention drifts. It's supposed to. The real problem is that we live in a world that weaponizes this drift against us, and we haven't built any system to manage it.
So here is the crucial mindset shift. We have to completely abandon this fantasy of unbroken concentration. It's like trying to stop the ocean's tide. It's just not going to happen. True mastery of focus isn't about preventing the drift. It's about becoming a master of the return. Think of it like a mental muscle. Every single time you notice you've drifted and you gently but firmly guide your attention back to what you were doing, you're doing a rep. The goal isn't to never drift. The goal is to shrink the time between the drift and the return. That's the real game. That is the metric of elite focus. Okay, now that we understand the biological reality of attentional drift, let's actually quantify the damage. What is the real hidden cost of letting this drift go completely unchecked? Well, this brings us to what's called the Attention Residue Crisis, the silent thief of your productivity and your energy. So, attentional drift gets its fuel from two very distinct sources. First, you've got the obvious ones, the external triggers. You know, the Slack notification, the email ping, the delivery guy at the door, the coworker asking a quick question. These are the invaders from the outside world constantly trying to breach your fortress of focus. But the more insidious enemy, the one that's way sneakier, comes from within, the internal triggers. That nagging feeling you forgot to text someone back, that sudden brilliant idea for a new project, replaying that awkward conversation from yesterday over and over. These are the silent assassins of focus, and they come from inside your own head.
And here's where the true cost becomes, well, terrifyingly clear. 23. Research from the University of California, Irvine found that after just a single interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to get back to your original level of deep focus. This is caused by a phenomenon called attention residue. Think of it this way. When you switch tasks, your brain doesn't just instantly close the file on the old task. Nope, it leaves behind this cognitive residue, a piece of your attention that is still stuck on whatever you were just doing. So even when you think you're back on your main task, you're actually operating with a fragmented mind, trying to work with only a fraction of your real brain power.
And this is a double whammy. It's not just about the 23 minutes you're losing.
Every single time you switch, you force your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, to slam on the brakes, change direction, and then accelerate all over again. Imagine doing that with your car hundreds of times a day. You'd burn out the engine, right? Well, that's exactly what we're doing to our brains. This leads to chronic PFC fatigue. It's the reason you can work a full 8-hour day, feel completely wiped out, and still have that sinking feeling that you got nothing important done. You weren't working, you were just running cognitive sprints all day, and it's draining your battery.
Okay, that was the bad news. We've diagnosed the problem, we get attentional drift, and we've seen the devastating cost of the attention residue crisis. Now, we move from diagnosis to prescription. It is time to build our fortress. This is the Drift Defense System, a simple but incredibly effective 3-pillar framework designed to fight back.
Here they are, the 3 pillars of our defense. Pillar 1 is containment. This is our outer wall, our shield against all those external triggers. The goal here is simple: make distraction difficult and make focus easy. We do this by building what I call a monastic environment. Pillar 2 is the log. This is our secret weapon against those internal triggers, all those rogue thoughts. Instead of fighting them or getting lost in them, we capture them. We get them out of our head and onto paper, which totally neutralizes their power. And finally, Pillar 3 is the redirect. Look, we have to accept that the enemy will sometimes get through the walls. Attentional drift happens. The redirect is our trained, automatic response to instantly get back on task the moment we notice we've wandered. Containment, log, redirect. That's the system.
So that's the what. But to really commit to this, you've got to understand the why. Why do these 3 pillars work so incredibly well together? Let's look at the science of control, because this isn't just a collection of clever tricks, it's a system grounded in how your brain actually operates. First off, the system strengthens your cognitive control. And this is the most important part. I want you to think of your prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO, as a muscle. Every time you notice your mind is drifted and you consciously use your redirect cue to pull it back, you are doing a repetition. It's like a bicep curl for your brain. In the beginning, that muscle is weak. The return is slow, it takes a lot of effort. But with each disciplined rep, you are literally building new neurological pathways. Over time, that muscle gets stronger. The return becomes faster, more automatic. You are physically training your brain to be better at focusing.
Next up, the log protocol neutralizes this really powerful psychological quirk called the Zeigarnik Effect. You know this effect. It's your brain's tendency to obsess over unfinished tasks. It's why a cliffhanger at the end of a TV show drives you absolutely crazy, or why you can't stop thinking about an email you know you need to send. These are open loops in your brain, and they create this low-grade anxiety that's constantly sucking up your attention. When you write an internal trigger down on your log, you're not ignoring it. You're basically making a contract with your brain. You're saying, hey, I see you, I got you, I will deal with you later. That simple act of writing it down closes the loop psychologically, satisfying that Zeigarnik effect and freeing up a huge amount of mental bandwidth. And finally, the system conserves your most precious, finite resource, willpower. Psychologists call this ego depletion. Think of your willpower like a phone battery that starts at 100% every morning. Every tiny decision you make drains it. Should I check this notification? Should I think about this email right now? The Drift Defense System automates all those decisions. You don't decide whether to check your phone. The Containment Protocol already made that decision for you. You don't decide what to do with a stray thought. The log protocol is your automatic move. By getting rid of all these micro-decisions, you save your willpower for the actual deep work you need to do.
We've covered the what and the why. Now for the most important part, the how. This is not just theory. This is a practical, step-by-step plan you can start using first thing tomorrow morning. I'm going to give you a precise 90-minute protocol to put this entire system into action so you can feel the results immediately. All right, this is your first sprint. Step 1, containment. Schedule a single, unbroken 90-minute block in your calendar, and you have to treat it like the most important meeting of your day. During this block, you enforce a strict digital quarantine, and this is non-negotiable. Your phone is not on silent. It's not face down on the desk. It is in another room, out of sight, out of mind. Close every browser tab and application not absolutely essential to the task at hand. Step 2, the log. Have a physical notepad and a pen right on your desk. The moment an internal thought pops up, oh, I need to email Susan, did I pay that bill? You just write it down. No judgment, no analysis. Just jot it down and immediately get back to your work. You're just capturing it to deal with later. Step 3, re-engage. The second you realize you've drifted, you state your cue. It can be super simple, like back to the task, or just return. Say it in your head or even out loud. This isn't a gentle suggestion, it's a command. And you immediately follow it by taking the next physical action, putting your hands back on the keyboard, picking up your pen, reading the next sentence. This creates a powerful loop.
Notice, cue, act. We've covered the biology, the diagnosis, the system, and how to implement it. But I want to leave you with one final powerful idea that just reframes this entire challenge. This is the real takeaway.
Please just let this sink in for a second. Focus is not a destination. It is not some magical state you finally achieve one day. It is a practice. It's the simple, repeated, non-judgmental act of returning your attention to where you want it to be. So the most important thing you can do starting today is to stop beating yourself up for getting distracted. That's your biology. Instead, redirect that energy. Put it into building and strengthening the system that makes the return easier, faster, and more automatic every single time.
So the only question left is, are you ready? Because this is about way more than just productivity. It's about reclaiming the mental space you need to think deeply, to create meaningful work, and to actually be present in your own life. Are you ready to stop being a victim of distraction and start being the architect of your attention?
So let's wrap this masterclass up. Remember, this whole system solves the critical problem of cognitive fragmentation and that hidden time loss that's been dragging you down. And why this matters so much is that it provides a systematic way to strengthen your focus and conserve your precious mental energy. The key tools, the Containment Protocol and the internal trigger log, are designed specifically to strengthen your prefrontal cortex, while also neutralizing the anxiety of all those open loops in your brain. So the ultimate goal here, the final takeaway, is to understand that real productivity isn't about doing more, it's about mastering systems that make focus effortless.